Hey everyone, Catch 'em All Collectibles here with another graded card return. I am swimming in slabs. I think the playmat here is appropriate. This one will actually be a combination of two submissions in one because one of them is a bit more boring. Large quantity of a lot of more common cards like you see here, but iconic. I mean, Bumblebee Pikachu, people really like that. They printed probably millions of them, but kind of like Ancient Mew, it's just one of those cards that hits the nostalgia for a lot of people, kind of an iconic artwork. Black Star promos from 2000, maximum hype. So I actually went, and again, the playmat is kind of appropriate here. I graded 100 of them at once. And for anyone who doesn't know, these cards come by the brick. You can actually buy them. You can still find them today, 20 years later. That's how tall that stack is. 20 years later, you can still buy them by the brick. You don't see them come up a lot, but they are out there, sealed bricks of anywhere between, I think some of them are like 600 cards, some of them are 1,000 cards. But yeah, those are my 3 stacks of PSA 9s. Sorry, CGC 9s. And I'm going to talk to you. You might think, why would you grade 100 of the same card? There's no way you're going to be able to sell those without crashing the market on them. Crazy thing to do. Doesn't make sense. You're the reason that the backlogs are so big. A lot of different comments with something like that. So these were the ones that went sub 9. Thankfully, not too many. And unfortunately, 100 cards, all mint, fresh out of a brick. None of them got CGC 10, but I got a taller stack of 9.5s than I did of sub 9s, so that was nice to see. But yeah, back to why I graded so many. Again, it's something that I had a lot of mint cards of. Here's kind of another example. The General Mills promos from this year. Unfortunately, I got quite a bit more, 8.5s. I got no 9.5s, but yeah, why did I grade so many? So these cards were sent mid-February before the March price increase. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I knew a lot of people were doing what I was doing, sending out a lot of cards to grade for, at the time, with the discounts of being a kind of a dealer. People were grading cards for, I want to say, $10 a piece with subgrades, something like that. So I wanted to get a certain amount, a large amount, kind of locked in at the cheap rate. And I do not see anyone having the ability. So really poor one there. I must have missed a dent, or yeah, service of 4.5. There's probably an indent there somewhere. But I do not see you having the ability to encapsulate a card, especially with subgrades, for sub $10 anywhere in the next, I mean, maybe not ever again. Certainly not within the next 5 years. I don't think, even at CGC, even these other grading companies that are popping up, nobody's doing it for sub $10 because they would just be hit with a tidal wave. So having acquired all this inventory, having such a low cost basis, I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to sell these over the long haul. I mean, 100 Bumblebee Pikachus, if I were to sell one a month for the next 8 years, if I were to sell one a week for the next 2 years, any of those things are fine by me. Just kind of trickling them out there. Anybody grading them newly will have a much higher cost basis. They won't be able to compete price-wise. Anybody sending them out today, they're not going to see them back for a year or two. So, I mean, by then, I might have all mine gone. So, I think, like, business strategy-wise, it was just the unfortunate situation we were in. someone was going to do it, so you may as well have been the one to get a bunch of cards out there in the backlog. And yeah, that's where I was at on this 200 card submission, and that's where a lot of people were. A few 9.5s there. So yeah, that was kind of the boring half of the video, but a little bit of commentary on just business strategy, why we got there. This half will be just a small submission I did through a middleman. That 200 card sub was direct. Their website's pretty bad. I don't know if it's improved for entering cards, but entering multiple quantity of the same card is significantly easier, so that's why I did that one on my own. It wasn't too bad. I just wanted to go through the process myself. Entering quantity 100 of a card is just as quick as entering one card. So yeah, Ancient Mew, that's just a card that I'll always be grading some amount of Ancient Mews. I don't have a huge stack. I wish I had a case of 1,000 of them or something. I know some people do. Probably quite a few people do, but it's just a card that I've got a handful of them. I throw them out in submissions here and there because they're just always an in-demand card. Doesn't matter that they printed 1 million of them or more. People just, it's an iconic original from the original hype period. Some of these interesting Dark Ivysaur winter stamp promos, pretty cool. I actually did have some Dark Venusaurs as well. Maybe just the one, I guess. EX Unseen Forces Hollow. I'm not even sure. I'm not sure if this came from a collection or where these came from, but yeah, just a little miscellaneous submission of cards that I had. Screen promos, you saw pretty recently a PSA return with quite a bit of screen promos that did really well. Just cards that I had bought dozens and dozens of each. I wish I had bought hundreds and hundreds of each. The Psyduck must have had Surface 6, so it must have had an indent somewhere. But still, beautiful cards. I'm hanging on to a lot of my CGC ones because they're selling. Some of them, I don't know. I guess it's hit or miss. Some of them I'm able to sell on par with like PSA 9s. Fairly close enough considering they're cheaper to grade. But if I'm unable to, I'd rather just sit on them for the longer term. I've mentioned it several times in different videos, but if CGC gets legs and picks up traction in the market, I think their prices will rise and kind of close the gap to PSA in similar grades. The 9.5 is never going to catch the PSA 10 because people just like round numbers. But so long term, 5-10 years, if that happens, then I'll start selling more of these. If it never happens, I'll just grade with PSA down the line, or whoever the new grading company is down the line that gives you the best market acceptance and the best premium. So the last two cards here, kind of staples in my graded returns. I only had just an oddball Omastar. I'm not sure where it came from. Maybe just one I missed submitting in the past. But this Grand Party, it's like a beautiful card. It's such a shame. You look at the subgrades. 9.5 surface, 9.5 corners, 10 edges, and then the centering is what kills it. I'm actually really interested. I need to do like a scan of this card and count the pixels. I believe PSA 10 requires 60-40 centering. Given the surface, corners, and edge subgrades on this, if this were able to eke out the 60-40, which maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, I'm not sure. This could almost be a contender for a PSA 10. It would honestly, with that centering, it would be a fairly weak 10, but my experiences with selling PSA 10s, they sell. Stronger ones might sell easier, but weak ones still sell. So I think this might be a card that I hang on to in my own collection, and then again, same thing as the screen promos, kind of down the line, potentially cross that over to PSA, or we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, that's all I have for today. That was a quick commentary on the tidal wave of kind of bulk, some people say junk slabs. I think, yeah, there was a very unique opportunity to be a part of that wave, and you're almost sheltered from the effects of it to some extent, because even though there's probably a lot of these coming back, I still think that having paid only $10 raw, the card is about $5. I think there'll still be a decent margin to be had on these, slowly selling them one by one into the market just over a period of years. I like, if I wanted to replicate what I did with these, I wouldn't be able to today. My cost basis would be double at least. So, and that would be, my cost basis would be double. And instead of having them now, they'd be a year and a half out. So I think that was a good play, and it makes for a bit more of a boring return, but that's why I brought in this other stuff to make it a little bit more interesting. So yeah, that's all I have for today. As always, I appreciate everyone watching. Feel free to leave a comment below if you've got any questions, if you're interested in any of the cards, if you've got suggestions for future videos that you'd like to see. I thought there was one other thing. Yeah, I guess with a card like this, we talked about it, Nick, Swami, and I. By the time you see this, it will probably have been like a week and a half ago. We talked about Unlimited Charmander and how longer term we think the price is going to fall. And I think a card like this, I think these are selling for about $50 right now. I do see that coming down. It's a weird thing, because it's like, for someone who loves this card and who just wants to have it now, I don't think 50 is completely unreasonable to pay, because if you buy, like, I sell these on Troll and Toad near mint for $10, I want to say. So $10, then to grade it with subgrades is about $25. You're looking at $35 plus over a year wait time. So do you want to do that? Obviously, you do have a chance for CGC 9.5 or higher, but you also have the chance for something like this. So to pay $50, bird in the hand, to get the card now in the grade you want, or to potentially pay $35, maybe get something worse over a year from now. So yeah, the pricing on this is just kind of in a weird place. In some ways, I feel like it's too much. That's why I'm selling them. I think it's too much and it's going to head down. But from the perspective of, if you just love this card and you want to have it, it also is kind of a reasonable play. I don't think people should be buying this for $50 thinking it's headed to 100 or thinking it's headed to 1,000. I think that's the wrong way to go about it. But if you're buying it to collect it, considering that consumed money, not much of an investment, like, I think it's a reasonable mentality to have when buying cards like that. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I made a terrible play, and maybe people will be dumping these for $10-15. Maybe I'll barely be able to break even, but I guess we'll see on that as we move through the next couple of years. It will be interesting to see. So yeah, I added a few minutes there at the end, a little bit of extra commentary, but I think it's a very interesting place that we're in with the cost of grading and the turnaround times, and this talk of the tidal wave of submissions and junk slabs returning and all that. Really all an interesting situation. But yeah, I appreciate you watching, and I will catch you all later.